This is the first age when humanity and the elder beings part ways. A man walks to the uppermost part of the tower and notices that Chadlia's arrival is near just by looking at the arrangements of the stars. He screams out into the sky, saying humanity's final master should come to their land where the times of elder beings and the deeds of humans intersect. At Chaldea's control room, a four-eyed girl named Mash Light reports to her master 2 minutes later than she should. She apologizes and greets her two superiors, Dr. Roman and Ritsuka Fujimaru. Seeing that both of them are available, Dr. Roman starts the briefing. He tells them that preparations for the ray shift to the seventh singularity have been completed, the seventh grail that Solomon himself sent into the past. He tells them that his hopes for recovery lie with them. He tells them that the lost year, 2017, is fast approaching, and no matter what it'll cost them, they must eradicate the cause of the incineration of humanity. This happens to be the goal of the Grand Order. After completing 6 other important journeys like a boss, they are about to ray shift to one of the world's oldest civilizations, which happens to be 2600 BC, the end of the Age of Elder Beings, the land of ancient Mesopotamia. A young lady named Da Vinci walks in and tells them that the process of getting there alone makes it tougher than any previous singularity. Mesopotamia is a civilization that flourished between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers that flowed into the Persian Gulf. Fujimaru and Mash will be heading to the Age of the First Kings, and it is said that that's the point when the Age of Elder Beings came to an end, meaning it's a time when elder beings and monsters still coexisted. As Mash and Fujimaru are heading out, Mash stops to ask Dr. Roman a question. With the ray shift preparations complete, the destination is set to Uruk in 2600 BC. Mash and Fujimaru ray shift, signaling the beginning of the operation. Mash and Fujimaru fall from the sky, screaming at the top of their voices like they're about to get violated alongside Mash's rabbit named Fu. After landing, Fujimaru wonders if the ray shift was successful because of how deserted the entire place looks. Looking at the desert they landed in, Roman is surprised because his dumb calculations were supposed to land them at the biggest city in the era. Da Vinci tells him that a forced deportation caused by a bounded field landed them there. Roman tells Mash and Fujimaru that he's certain that some sort of danger is approaching Uruk. While they decide to check around, they are surrounded by demonic beasts. Mash goes in to attack the beasts with her weapon that she uses to both attack and defend. Mash solos the demonic beasts, after which they decide to leave the ruined city quickly, but after taking a few steps, a red-eyed girl jumps in on them and lands on Fujimaru's face. Before the fight with the demonic beasts, Fujimaru already lost communication with the control room, and they continue to try their best to resume communication. Fujimaru and Mash introduce themselves to the red-eyed girl, telling her that they're members of a group called Chaldea. Mash tells her that they were sent to this singularity to correct the course of humanity, and the red-eyed girl tells them that she's also there for something similar. Fujimaru tells her that he's a master who makes contracts with heroic spirits and commands them as servants. The red-eyed talkative refuses to introduce herself, and shortly after, a roar is heard, and it's that of the demonic beasts. The red-eyed girl tells them to step back while she takes down the beasts. She jumps up and fires lasers from her fingertips towards the beast before going in to kick some heads. Other beasts gather around them while the red-eyed girl takes her leave. Before leaving, she tells them that the restoration of humanity is no more than a dream if they have a problem taking down this level of demonic beasts. Like the sly that she is, she leaves them surrounded by demonic beasts. Dumb Fujimaru tries to outrun the beasts, but reality dawns on him sooner than he had expected. Seeing that they're surrounded, a man comes in to help them. With lightning surrounding his body, he struck down the beasts. After taking some down, he goes on to introduce himself to them as Enkidu, telling them he has been waiting for their arrival. With long chains, he takes out the rest of the demonic beasts. They thank him for his help while he offers to guide them to Uruk. On their way, Enkidu tells them that he came there by the orders from the chief priestess of Uruk to protect guests from afar. He tells them that the people in this age do not succumb easily. Enkidu decides to lead them through another route to Uruk, saying the normal one is dangerous. He tells them that Mesopotamia is on the brink of extinction, with cities falling one after the other, making all of the survivors evacuated to Uruk. Mash asks if it's caused by the owner of the Holy Grail, and Enkidu tells her that the Holy Grail is not in the hands of anyone. He tells her that the Elder Beings are the enemies of humanity. 3 Elder Beings that can also be referred to as bullies form an alliance and have since taken roughly 60% of Mesopotamia's lands. The objective of the Elder Beings is to incinerate humanity, with each of them destroying Mesopotamia with their method. The Elder Being of demonic beasts had humanity build a large wall around their civilization to protect them from the demonic beasts while they defended the wall day and night. The soldiers have been holding the wall for 6 months, driving back an endless onslaught of demonic beasts. Although there are way more demonic beasts than soldiers, the humans suffer fewer casualties compared to the demonic beasts. Fujimaru and Mash commend the commander of the soldiers, but Enkidu, being bitter, tells them that the soldiers don't need to kill every one of the demonic beasts because they will go extinct without even doing anything anyway. While they travel through the forests, Enkidu tells them that they should be able to make it to Uruk by sunset, but Mash notices that they're going further away from Uruk. he tells them that there's a wharf ahead with a boat, and all they have to do is take the boat downstream. Shortly after, a man walks in on them saying he didn't know about such a route. The man pretends as if he lost his way, saying he didn't expect to see humans in the territory of the elder being of demonic beasts. Enkidu tells him that they're going to Uruk and asks him to come along with them. Immediately after introducing themselves, the man says there's a big problem. Enkidu asks why, and he tells them that it's because King Gilgamesh, who is commanding the front line in Uruk, is the king who returned from his quest for the Herb of Immortality. The problem is that he didn't set out on that quest until after the death of his dear friend Enkidu, meaning Enkidu should have been 6 feet down and decayed a long time ago. Seeing his cover blown, Enkidu strikes, but it's blocked by mashed potatoes. Seeing the odds of the fight, the man tells the young girl by his side named Anna to help Mash and Fujimaru. Anna starts to attack and tells the man that she'll help even though it's not part of their contract. The fight between Anna and Enkidu continues with Anna dodging all of Enkidu's attacks until she tries to attack and ends up getting blown away. Mash jumps in to continue the fight, but she's held back by a barrage of fire from Enkidu. Anna jumps in and uses a long chain to swing Enkidu around. But unknown to her, this is where she makes the worst mistake. Enkidu uses Uno reverse to chain the 3 of them like prisoners. Shortly after, they disappear, and Enkidu notices that he has been caught in Aizen's perfect illusion, so he decides to retreat. Fujimaru and Mash wake up and are both surprised to see Enkidu gone. The mage who is in charge of the illusion tells them that Enkidu is working for the King of Mages and is responsible for the destruction of many fortress cities. Before the man could introduce himself, Fu jumped to hit his head with its little paw, landing him on the ground. After the little commotion, he introduces himself to them as Merlin and tells them that both he and Anna are servants. Roman hears that it's Merlin, but he refuses to believe after reading out all about him. He tells Merlin to show them his true form if it's truly him. Fujimaru wonders what's wrong with Roman, and Mash tells him that it's probably because of discrepancies in the legends about Merlin. According to the legend, Merlin never died, so it isn't possible for someone alive to become a heroic spirit like Merlin claimed to be. Roman tells them that all casters with the potential to be grand casters have supernatural abilities like Solomon's eyes, which can see the past and future. King Gilgamesh can see the future, but Merlin can only see everything in the present. Da Vinci knocks Roman out, and she thanks Merlin for helping the 2 frauds out of danger. She tells him that his being a heroic spirit doesn't make sense, and he tells her that this singularity manifested in an age that predates his appearance on Earth. Later at night, Mash asks if there's a master around aside from Fujimaru, and Merlin replies saying there is, and he was summoned by him, now serving as his court mage. He tells them that the influence of the Grail summoned Anna, so she has no master. The both of them met 2 days ago, and made a contract to achieve their goals. Roman asks Merlin if he manifested to work with Chaldea, and Merlin confirms that he did, saying his only pastime in life is to watch the present, and he'll be no more than a lone man standing in his tower if the present is lost. At daybreak, they all head to Uruk, knowing that human history is finished if the demonic beasts bring down Uruk. Merlin tells them that they need to search for the Holy Grail that the King of Mages sent to this era and retrieve it before taking down the 3 Elder Being Alliance. King Gilgamesh is also known as the most tyrannical of all ancient kings. Also known as the King of Heroes, he was a hero born of an elder being and a human. He turned to something else after reaching adolescence, just like you when you turned 15, and this forces the elder beings to create Enkidu to put him in his place, but as fate will have it, they became best friends. Before entering Uruk, they arrive at an inspection checkpoint. As they're being questioned, Merlin comes in to speak for them, helping them to gain access to the city. The city of Uruk is just like Las Vegas in terms of liveliness, with everyone smiling and lively, knowing they're on the brink of extinction. Eren Yeager cannot relate. Saving their city tour for later, Merlin takes them to meet with King Gilgamesh at Ziggurat, a shrine and altar for Mesopotamians. Seeing how busy the king is, Merlin jumps the queue and introduces the guests to the king. Merlin tells them that he's too busy to exchange words with them to get to know them, so he decides to examine them through battle. Merlin tells Anna to lend a hand in Fujimaru and Mash's fight against Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh starts by firing flames toward them, making Mash block the flames before Anna starts to attack Gilgamesh using her chains. They reduce the distance between each other by fighting at close range. Gilgamesh dodges all of their attacks, and as soon as Anna and Mash sync their attacks together with the coward named Fujimaru giving Anna a little boost, Gilgamesh blows them both away at point-blank range. After the fight, Gilgamesh tells them that it's a waste of time, and he wants nothing to do with them. Knowing that they're the strangers he spoke of, Fujimaru tries to convince Gilgamesh, but he shuns him, telling him that there's no need for it, as he's capable of all things and possesses all knowledge. He tells them that he's already aware of what people Ag Chaldea are about. Fujimaru tells him that they'll have to retrieve the Holy Grail from this era because it determines the fate of humanity. Gilgamesh shocks them by showing them the Grail. He tells them that it's probably what the 3 Elder Beings Alliance is, after otherwise they'll have no reason to attack Uruk. He refuses to give them the Holy Grail, telling them that he has no reason to give them any of his treasures. For a coward, Fujimaru makes a bold suggestion. He asks Gilgamesh if they can defeat the 3 Elder Beings in exchange for it, and Gilgamesh starts to laugh. He tells them that he must protect Uruk at all costs, and he doesn't need help from Chaldea. Shortly after, Gilgamesh receives information from one of his guards that Ishtar, one of the 3 elder beings, is heading for Uruk at high speed. Shortly after, Ishtar breaks in through the roof. Mash immediately recognizes her as the red-eyed girl who helped them earlier and chickened out. She walks up to Gilgamesh and fires a beam towards him. Mash jumps in to deflect the beam while Anna starts to attack Ishtar. Ishtar uses Anna's chains to tie Mash down, and as she goes towards Anna to blast her away, Fujimaru offers his body as a meat shield by standing in front of Anna. Ishtar wanted to grant his wishes at first by blasting him away, but she gives it a second thought, and after looking closely at his shirt, she decides to change her mind. She picks up her transportation mechanism and then flies away. After she leaves, Gilgamesh decides to continue with his usual business while they go to look for a place to spend the night. The king's assistant, Siduri, gives them some advice on their way out that'll help them draw the attention of the king. She tells them to have some noteworthy achievements. She tells them to help with the various jobs in the city, and she makes arrangements for them. She takes them to a place where they'll be staying. After a while, Mash deploys a round table with her shield before anchoring ley line coordinates, and this helps them to gain visual contact with Roman at the base. Roman tells them that they're not sure who their true foe is in that era, but it's clear that the elder beings aren't on their side. While they're talking with Roman, a lady with 2 hefty men by her side walks in. Later at night, they have a small feast with servants summoned by Gilgamesh, including Merlin. One of them, named Ushiwakamaru, makes it her duty to get Fujimaru drunk, but thankfully, she fails at it. She gives a toast to humanity's final master, Fujimaru, and promises that they'll help him in every way possible to the best of their abilities. The hefty men named Benki and Leonidas refuse to drink too much, as they believe the celebration should be after they've defeated the demonic beasts. Just like that friend in your friend group, Ushiwakamaru sneaks alcohol into Leonidas's drink, and it makes him start to misbehave. After Leonidas's drama, Fujimaru asks if Gilgamesh knows about the knockoff version of Enkidu going around, and Merlin tells him that he knows, but they haven't met physically. He tells them that they'll find out what exactly the low-budget Enkidu is, but it can be done starting the next day. The next day, Siduri gives them their first assignment, and it has nothing to do with battles. Their next few assignments prove to be nothing more than community service. The next morning, they receive a day off, and Siduri tells them to use the day to enjoy Uruk. Seeing that they're free for the day, Anna tells them that she has a job that she'd like to ask them to do. She gives them all the silver she has saved up, and asks if it'll be enough to have them accompany her. They accept her job and tell her that there's no need for payment, so she decides to take them to the site. She tells them that she'll be counting on them since they'll have to fight. She takes them to a cave underneath Uruk where they defeat all the evil spirits that look like grim reapers. She tells them that a deadly disease is spreading in Uruk, and it's causing people to fall into an eternal slumber starting from the weak ones. She feels it's connected to the evil spirits, so she plans on reducing the deaths by killing them. Fujimaru remembers the multiple L's he received from the Mage King after he had warned him and told him that he'd consider it as a case to personally liberate if he managed to destroy all 7 singularities. For a hero, Mash does a perfect bricklaying job 1 month after they arrive at Uruk. After the day's work, Fu brings their attention to a homeless man on their way home. Fujimaru heads over to him in the alley and gives him bread. To thank them for their kindness, the homeless man decides to prophesy. He tells them that 3 storms will soon sweep over Uruk, and they shouldn't empathize with the hateful one. They shouldn't celebrate with the joyous one, and they shouldn't extol with the pained one. After the revelation, the man disappears. Fujimaru struggles to sleep as he stays up all night thinking of what the man said. Knowing that they've lost many people along the way, from servants to humans, and being the weakling that he is, he couldn't do anything. Fujimaru wonders if he made the right choice. At first he wasn't ready, and was engrossed in running through it all, thinking he had to do it, but there were people he couldn't protect. Mash sits down by his side and tells him that she had a conversation with Amadeus previously where he told her that humans must choose, and that the world is not what you make of it, but you're what the world makes of you. She tells him that she's sure the answers he chose are correct, and she believes in his answers, which is why she'll always stay by his side as his servant. At the base, Roman tells Da Vinci that the chances of sending back up to Uruk are looking grim as expected. She tells him that ray-shifting to the age of elder beings in itself is the epitome of recklessness after all. Fujimaru, alongside his entourage, meets with Gilgamesh, and although they think their activities have been acknowledged, he muds them by telling them that their work isn't that interesting in his view. He gives them a direct order to head to the city of Ur and investigate what's going on in that land. While giving them the order, he shows them the Holy Grail, but Fujimaru notices that it's different from the 6 they collected at the singularities. Merlin tells him that he's waiting for the result of the analysis from Roman. Fujimaru asks Merlin if the Holy Grail making the present singularity take form exists elsewhere. Merlin replies by saying he doesn't know if it's in the hands of the 3 Elder Beings Alliance or someone else, but he doesn't believe King Gilgamesh has it. Turns out that the one who can see everything in the present doesn't know everything about the present. Fujimaru meets with Ushiwaka, and she tells him that she heard from Siduri that he's taking to the field. She wishes them the best of luck and then returns to her mission. Outside of the city, they kill a demonic beast named Mushisu. often called the 11th offspring of Tiamat. Merlin tells them that there are also Lamu, the mysterious beast, Ugalu, the giant lion, and as he continues with his story, they leave him behind. As they continue walking through the forest with their tired legs, Anna notices something but decides to meet up with the rest of them. According to the map, they are to arrive at in a short while, but as they stop to rest, they get attacked by a dumbass wearing a costume, and as Anna tries to attack, she evades the attack and leaves the scene. Arriving at the city of the place looks deserted with leaves crawling into building. They meet with some of the residents and ask if everything is okay, telling them that they'll go back and have the king send a rescue party if everything is okay. They tell him that they don't need to be rescued as they consider to be very safe. Merlin tells Fujimaru to gather the city folk the next day as he wants to address them. The next day, after gathering all of the city folks, Merlin asks why they think they don't need to be rescued. They tell him that is safe, and they believe that demonic beasts can't come in as long as the jungle surrounds them, and as long as they obey the rules of the elder being of the forest. He asks why they didn't attempt to rescue those in other cities facing crisis, and they tell him that it isn't possible because it'll violate the rules set by the elder being of the forest. He asks them how many they're sacrificing per day, and although they try to lie about it, it's obvious when one looks at their numbers. Merlin notices that there are far too few men compared to women for a city that's not at war. Once again, men suffer for almost no reason. They finally confess to their daily subscription for security to the devil. The dumbass who attacked them in the forest earlier appears again, and she gets the villagers frightened. She introduces herself to them as the elder being of the forest, Jaguarman. She tells them that she won't let them take her sacrifices outside, so she starts to attack them. Mash blocks her first attack with her shield while Anna jumps in with the next attack. Jaguarman decides to attack Anna from the air, so she launches a series of attacks on Anna and kicks her up into the air, after which she beats the hell out of her. She moves on to Mash, who blocks all of her attacks. Jaguarman solos both of them and reminds them not to take an elder being lightly. Seeing that she's a proper elder being, Merlin tells them that they wouldn't stand a chance without a servant who has divinity like her. Fujimaru is forced to make a choice, and then he chooses to retreat with the aid of Merlin. They decide to report their findings to the king. King Gilgamesh visits them at their home to give them their next assignment personally. He tells them to survey the water quality of the Persian Gulf. They are to head to the observatory at the Persian Gulf and gather some seawater to bring back. This time around, Merlin and Anna stay back while Gilgamesh himself follows them on the trip. When asked the reason why he's accompanying them on the trip, he tells them that he just likes to look at the season sometimes. They stop by under a tree to fulfill Gilgamesh's request for an amusing tale. Mash tells a shitty boring story of how she met Fujimaru. Gilgamesh thanks them for their boring story. He tells them that tales of journeys are the most fun for the ones making the actual journeys. Fujimaru asks if he has any memories or tales of journeys, and Gilgamesh replies saying he knows it all from the brilliant tales of heroism, the worthless travels, and the warfare. They arrive at the observatory, and Gilgamesh tells them that the water they'll carry back has been gathered by the researchers of the observatory. Seeing how serious Gilgamesh is about testing the water quality, Mesh asks him if it's because water is scarce in this era, but he doesn't give an answer. As they enter the observatory, the workers express their shock at seeing Gilgamesh himself, as they are not expecting him. Fujimaru and Mash load their carriage with the water before heading back to Uruk. On their way back, they stop at a beach to have a break while Gilgamesh stays back at the observatory because he has some things to check out. Roman thanks them for their hard work and asks how the Persian Gulf looks to the naked eye, telling them that it's quite different from what they experienced in Okeanos during the third singularity. He tells them that the scale of the seventh singularity is greater than any of the previous ones, as they're getting observation results of the Indian Ocean, far behind the Persian Gulf. He tells them that it's because the ocean is an essential factor of life itself in Mesopotamia, which is why things have taken shape in this way, turning into one extraordinary story. Mash asks Fujimaru if she's seeing things face to face, and if she'll be able to know what she truly wishes for. She remembers an event that occurred during the third singularity, when she was told that she already has a wish, as all humans have one, and can't live without one. She is told that she'll realize in the end what she wants to do, and why she continues to raise her shield to defend others. Fujimaru tells her that he has been her closest observer till now in their journeys, and facing herself has been difficult. Knowing what to do and what to wish for, he tells her that he wants to ask her what answers she holds because he's sure she'll be able to find them. Fu suddenly runs towards them screaming, and Mash tells Roman that something is beeping towards them from 9 o'clock. Roman tells them that he can see it from his end too. Seeing the speed and mana concentration, he wonders how it's possible in the age of elder beings. In 3 seconds, Mash shields up to block the attack, and it turns out to be Enkidu. Mash tells the weakling, who keeps hiding behind her, that she's sending the Mage King from the enemy. She tells him that the enemy in front of them is not Enkidu. Enkidu tells her that she's right and he's not Enkidu, but he has changed owners. Enkidu attacks, aiming to kill them. He fires his chains toward them, forcing Mash to block some and dodge the others even though she's still receiving hits. After analysis from Chaldea, Roman tells them that the fighting style is truly the specialty of the king of heroes, Gilgamesh. Enkidu creates an inexhaustible number of blades and fires them at Mash. Enkidu fires his next attack towards them, and it gets blocked by Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh walks up to Enkidu, reminding him of how he has thrown away their previous ideals of being efficient, calm, and collected as a weapon during battle. He tells him that it's unlike him to enjoy the thrill of a battle, and as the fight starts, Mash tells Gilgamesh that Enkidu isn't the real Enkidu. Seeing Enkidu's fine magical energy, Gilgamesh asks if it was a gift from the three elder beings. As Enkidu tries to strike Gilgamesh with his hand clothed in lightning, Gilgamesh blocks it with an axe. Enkidu calls Gilgamesh the enemy of his mother, and with full determination to kill Gilgamesh, he summons several blades while Gilgamesh fires them down with lightning from the sky. Enkidu concentrates his blades to ensure some of them go through, and after, Gilgamesh shows his excellent swordsmanship by striking all of the blades away. Enkidu combines his blades and tries to strike Gilgamesh with it from the top, but Gilgamesh dodges the attack. After this, they both look at each other, and shortly after, Enkidu flies into the air, running back to his mother like a child who has just lost a street fight. After Enkidu leaves, Mash and Fujimaru thank Gilgamesh for his help. He tells them that his help wouldn't balance the scales, and they were only spared because of Enkidu's whim. Fujimaru asks why it looked like Enkidu was in pain, but Gilgamesh doesn't give him any answer. They decide to head back to Uruk as Gilgamesh has done what he came to do, and seen what he came to see. Knowing that he is stronger than them, Enkidu wonders why he retreated. He struggles with himself mentally, concluding that he must kill Gilgamesh for his mother's sake. Some mids pray to their elder being, and they finally succeed in waking Ishtar. They pray to her to save them from the harmful demonic beasts, and she agrees to do that. Roughly 30% of the defensive line at the northern wall has been worn down. General Leonidas has been supporting them, but they're running out of arrows and medical supplies. Ushiwaka gives Gilgamesh the report, and he tells her that 30% is within expectation. He tells her to replace the injured while he arranges for replenishment. After attending to her, Fujimaru walks in alongside Mash and Merlin. Gilgamesh tells them to fetch the Tablet of Destinies for him. He tells them that it is a recording of a future that he saw in a past meditation. Even elder beings don't have retentive memories, so don't let anybody stress you out. Merlin asks if he remembers where it is, and Gilgamesh tells them that he wrote it in Kutha on his way back to Uruk from the underworld. Siduri tells them that the city of Kutha is currently part of the area under Ishtar's control. Gilgamesh gives them his order to head forth to Kutha and return with the tablet. After the formation of the three elder being alliance, Kutha disappeared without warning, like your ex the last time you tried to kiss her, and all communication from there was suddenly lost. Merlin tells them that Leonidas's party that rushed there saw a quiet cityscape. No blood or signs of combat, just all the citizens lying around as if they died in their sleep. The reason for such happening is yet to be known, but since then, Kutha is said to be a cursed land and has never been approached. They arrive home with some luggage that they'll need to prepare for their next mission. Hearing the pay for the job, Anna goes up to get her load quickly as she's ready to depart immediately. Mash tells her they'll be departing the next day. At night, Ushiwaka meets with Fujimaru at the top of their building, and she asks about herself in the future and how she's admired even during his time. He tells her that the legend of Ushiwaka Maru is familiar to people in his era as well, and that it has turned into a nursery song. The blockhead goes on to sing the half-baked song, and she gets touched and encouraged by it. She goes on her knees and swears on her life to protect the place he will return to, even though she's currently serving under Gilgamesh. He tells her that he's not her master and goes on to swear as a friend that he'll fulfill his destiny. They head out for their mission, and midway, they come across a land that appears to be destroyed. They speak to a cattle rearer to know what happened, and he tells them that it's Ishtar. Just like a child, she goes on blowing up everywhere and takes their money. Merlin tells them that she wouldn't do anything like that if she was in her original form. He tells them that when demonic beasts showed up, the priestesses of Uruk held a ritual to get a human girl possessed by the elder being Ishtar, some Madara-level reincarnation. The girl and the elder's being senses of self fused and created a new personality. At the top of a mountain, the city of Kutha becomes sightable. The place looks deserted with no sighting of demonic beasts or human. Da Vinci tells them that the demonic beasts are scared to enter the city. Merlin suggests they set camp where they are, considering it's dangerous to go into the city at night. Before daybreak, Fujimaru wakes up to start his useless daily routine. Everyone knows how useless he is, considering the little muscles he's building can't even help him when it's time to fight. He tells Merlin that the reason he was chosen to Ray Shift was because he was the only survivor. Merlin tells him that no matter the time, ordinary humans are the ones who make stars fall. After the daybreak, they enter Kutha and decide to split up to make their search faster since demonic beasts are scared of entering. While Fujimaru is searching, he notices a human spirit and then goes after it. Shortly after, Roman notices that his observation signal has disappeared alongside his biological signal. Fujimaru finds himself in a dark cave, and he wonders if he's dreaming. Soon, he is surrounded by ghosts who say they were murdered and abandoned. They try to kill him, but Fu's scream stops them. Seeing that he still lives, one of them tells the others that killing him will incur their master's wrath. He sends them to resume their duty and apologizes on their behalf to Fujimaru. He tells Fujimaru that he owes him a favor, referring to him as a callow neophyte that's steadfast. He tells him that he's worthy of being spared, so he sends him back to the living world with a message for the mages saying all is well in the underworld. Before leaving, Fujimaru asks for the man's name, and the man tells him his name is Ziusudra. Fujimaru wakes up and apologizes to Mash for making her worry. He wakes up with the Tablet of Destinies in his hands, and he delivers Ziusudra's message to Merlin. Shortly after, a large magical energy signal approaches them. Ishtar appears in the sky, and she tells them that the gem she took is a form of compensation for saving them from demonic beasts. Determined to give them divine punishment, she fires a huge arrow towards them, and even though they don't plan on fighting, she tells them that she'll take the Tablet of Destinies as compensation. She goes in for close combat, and she schools Mash before returning to the air. For a short while, she blacks out, and afterward, Fujimaru declares himself as her opponent. She sees his challenge as an insult and decides to grant his wish since he wants to die. As she comes in to attack, Anna chains her legs and then throws her to the ground, knocking her out completely. Later in the evening, they tie her down, and when she wakes up, they ask for information about the three Elder Being Alliance. They ask why they're attacking Uruk, and she tells them that they compete with each other to see who can destroy Uruk and obtain the Holy Grail Gilgamesh is keeping. The first Elder Being to obtain the Holy Grail is Uruk will control his land. Fujimaru asks for the true names of the other two, but Ishtar refuses to tell, because the three of them agreed a pact of non-aggression, and she can't divulge even under the threat of death. Fujimaru decides to give up the true names himself. She tells him that she was summoned by the sacred temple in Uruk, but the other two were drawn by the Holy Grail. At nightfall, the ancestors from Kutha decided to pay a visit to their homeland, forcing them to retreat. While they're retreating, Fujimaru unties Ishtar and tells her to retreat too. To pay him back, she decides to take care of the undead, and he thanks her before taking his leave. The king had eyes to see into the past and the future, but he stood by. He saw all the world's struggles and sorrows, but he stood by and laughed. He shouldn't be forgiven, and future generations should read of the fury of the ancient men and follow in their footsteps. They should construct a temple, build a band of light, and find the path to the final singularity, where the throne of the King of Mages, Solomon, resides. This is the revelation Fujimaru had during his sleep. Fujimaru wakes up and wonders what went wrong. Merlin tells him that he has been asleep ever since he read the clay tablet he brought back with him. Fujimaru tells them that he saw the King of Mages, Solomon. Fujimaru met Solomon once and survived. That was in London when they tried to reveal the fourth Holy Grail. He gave them a revelation saying they'll get burnt like toast in the future. Seeing that they're no match for the Grand Casters, Merlin tells them that they need the final Holy Grail, and they all agree with him. He tells them that the demonic beasts at the northern wall are attempting a large-scale attack. They arrive at the northern wall, and as soon as the soldiers open up the wall to make repairs to the outside wall, the demonic beasts take that chance to flood in. Anna, Mash, and Leonidas spring into action to take down the first wave swiftly. The soldiers named Sparta take care of the second wave and prepare for battle against the third wave. As the third wave is coming closer, Leonidas commands the Dingir to be fired towards them, and it takes out the third wave of demonic beasts. While they're preparing for the fourth wave, Fujimaru asks Leonidas what the ancient nuke is. Leonidas tells him that it's a large cannon that fires King Gilgamesh's treasures and blows the enemies away with his magical energy. While they're having dinner, Merlin asks what the situation of the war is. Ushiwaka decides to explain. She tells them that further north of the northern wall is a fortress city called Nippur, which still has people stranded there. They can't brute force their way through a pack of demonic beasts, so they prioritize women and children, and have slowly been rescuing them under the cover of darkness. What did ancient men do to deserve this treatment? The demonic beasts began to act in an organized manner, and then communication was severed from Nippur. This is why they are being sent there to rescue the citizens if they're still safe. To do this, they'll need to launch a large-scale attack. Later at night, Merlin and Anna sit outside thinking. Merlin walks up to Anna and asks what's wrong. She tells him that she was just thinking if it was too late to tell Fujimaru and Mash what was going on. Merlin tells her that he thinks it might freak them out. He tells her that she's keeping her distance from humans because they scare her and not because she doesn't like them. He tells her that she's afraid they'll find out who she is and hate her. He tells her that it's an emotion hard to come, and she can call it the conscience of the divine being she truly is. He tells her to keep quiet and hide it, asking if there's anything wrong with a non-human hiding her inhumanity. He tells her that she's allowed to side with them because it's fun, but whether they love her or if she can love them is a different matter. Merlin tells her that he doesn't love humanity, but even if he were to hide it, Fujimaru wouldn't care and would just accept things for what they are, which is the both of them as they stand by his side. He tells her that her existence will be the vital point the elder being of demonic beasts didn't expect. The next day, they go out for their mission, and outside of the northern wall, they encounter a horde of demonic beasts. While the soldiers handle the beasts, Fujimaru Fujimaru and the others take a diversion and head towards Nippur. Shortly after, Benki suspects that the demonic beasts have fallen for their diversion all too easily, and as he tells Ushiwaka about this, it clicks within her that they're the ones who fell for the bait, as the demonic beasts are after Fujimaru. She heads to Nippur immediately. Arriving at Nippur, they find scratches all over the walls and signs of discomfort, and they start to think that they didn't make it in time. Seeing a blood trail, Merlin asks Fujimaru where he thinks the blood trail leads, and after following the trail, they meet with Enkidu. He asks about the humans, and Enkidu tells him that they're being used as nourishment. Must be a high source of protein. It clicks on them that the demonic beast's objective was to destroy the northern wall, as it was not more than a place where resources were gathered. He tells them that humans are no more than raw materials to create the second generation of demonic beasts. Enkidu summons the demonic beast Ugalu, the largest offspring of Tiamat. The demonic beast Ugalu fires a huge fireball towards them and Mash holds it off while Anna goes in to fight. She lands a strong hit with her blade that's made to kill immortals on its head, but it happens to be just like a knock. Seeing how strong their opponent is, Fujimaru asks Merlin for his help. Merlin walks up and uses a spell to upgrade Anna's weapon. With the upgraded weapon, Anna slices the beast into two in one strike. Thinking that the battle is over, Anna finds herself chained down, and Enkidu stabs her in the gut as he considers her a problem. Merlin sends Foe in to save Anna, and Foe helps Anna escape from the chain of heaven. A multi-headed being shows up from the ground, and after Roman's analysis, he tells them that it's a servant with a divine spirit class, and classified as an Avenger. She introduces herself as Tiamat, the mother of all beasts, mankind's sworn enemy, and the head of the three Elder Beings Alliance. With her tail, she smashes away the soldiers like the useless mosquitoes that they are. She imbues fear into Mash and Fujimaru, but using the training from Leonidas, they overcome it. Seeing this, she tells Enkidu to stand back as she'll handle it. Walking in the sea of blood, Tiamat shows a sneak peek of why she shouldn't be disrespected. Seeing how weak humanity's final master is, she assures them that human history will end. Fujimaru decides to fight, but Merlin tells him to stand back while he takes on the role of being Tiamat's opponent. Just like you all want to be, Merlin tells him that he excels at dealing with beautiful women who are hard to handle. They strike an attack at each other, and one of Tiamat's attacks hits Merlin, but he regenerates, showing his immortality. Seeing this, Tiamat decides to use her mystic eyes of petrification, and this forces Merlin to run back. He tells Fujimaru to protect him at all costs, telling him that it'll be really bad if he loses consciousness. Tiamat fires a large beam towards them, forcing Mash to block it with all her might. Ushiwaka jumps in from the sky and she strikes Tiamat. She tells them to run to the northern wall without looking back. To prevent them from getting away, Tiamat sends her serpent after them, but Ushiwaka strikes down all of them. Before Fujimaru takes his leave, he makes Ushiwaka promise that she'll come back. Enkidu wonders why Gilgamesh isn't out yet. The fight continues with Ushiwaka dodging all of Tiamat's attacks. Just like we all struggle to kill a mosquito flying around, Tiamat struggles to land a hit on Ushiwaka. Ushiwaka goes on to use the Wandering Tales of Shana-O, Act 2, Usumadoru, Heavenly Blade Steps to land a hit on Tiamat's face. Tiamat spawns up in front of the northern wall, and the soldiers fire the Dingir at her. With Ushiwaka in one of her serpent's mouths, she fires beams towards the wall before throwing Ushiwaka to the ground. Determined to kill every last human, she tells them that resisting is futile. Leonidas tells her that it's not, and immediately, the gates open with soldiers lining up. They throw their spears at Tiamat before forming a wall with their shield. Tiamat tries to petrify them, but Leonidas repels it. Seeing this, she asks him who he is, and he tells her that his ancestor is the great hero Hercules, the son of the great elder being, Zeus. He tells her that he is King Leonidas of Sparta, a country given praise by the elder being of war, Ares. He tells her that he has seen through her true identity, addressing her as an Avenger, because he has never heard of Tiamat utilizing mystic eyes. The shield surrounding him breaks open, and he is forced to block her attack with his shield. As soon as he sees an opening, he fires his spear towards her, and it goes to pierce through her chest. He calls her Gorgon, an elder being persecuted as a monster, telling her that the people of Greece cannot forget that name. As he tries to move towards her, he falls to the ground, having lost half of his leg to the mystic eye's petrification. With his entire body turning to stone, he leaves the rest to Fujimaru and Mash. Ushiwaka picks up a sword and tells Tiamat that she's a novice when it comes to warfare. Still with the zeal to fight, she uses the Wandering Tales of Shana-O, Act 4, Dan no Ura 8-boat leap to create 8 clones of herself which all go in together to strike Tiamat. They cut down multiple parts of Tiamat's body, working her way down to the head until she drops a nuke right in front of Tiamat's eyes. Taking the full blows of both Leonidas and Ushiwaka's attack, Tiamat appears to still stand strong. Dumbass Fujimaru wonders what's happening, and Merlin shows him the light of the Holy Grail in her stomach. She tells them that she's not using the Holy Grail's magical energy at all, as she wouldn't use powers from elsewhere to destroy humans. She decides to assault Uruk herself and kill the king. She orders her demonic beasts to attack the humans who escaped. Enkidu comes up to her and tells her that it's a little short-sighted, telling her that their real enemies are the other elder beings rather than the humans because the alliance is dissolved once Uruk falls at the hands of an elder being. He tells her that the second generation of demonic beasts is reserved for that purpose. He suggests that they torment the humans till then. Tiamat tells them that she'll be back to destroy Uruk 10 dawns from then, before she retreats. Seeing that Enkidu just saved their lives, Merlin asks him who he truly is. He tells Merlin that he's a prototype of the people who will rule the world in their place. He tells them that his true name is Kingu, the elder being who led the offspring of Tiamat in Babylonian mythology. After Enkidu leaves, the soldiers gather the fallen and start to mourn them. Benkei meets with Mash and Fujimaru and tells them that he'll be taking his leave. He tells them to give Gilgamesh his apologies for not meeting his expectations. He tells them that he's not the Benkei that they know of, but instead, he's a traitor who abandoned Lord Minamoto no Yoshitsune. After Benkei takes his leave, Fujimaru motivates the remaining soldiers to continue building the wall. Ushiwaka wakes up in Tiamat's demonic beast's underground factory, where she sees Enkidu sending children to Uruk. She figures out that they're using human corpses as expendable tools. She asks Enkidu why he let the children escape, and Enkidu replies saying it's a difference in values, as he doesn't have any grudges like his mother, and he only kills threats. Seeing how Ushiwaka continues to run her mouth, calling both Enkidu and Tiamat amateurs in warfare, Enkidu decides to take her to his mother. While the soldiers continue rebuilding, Anna is left to heal up. Fujimaru reports to Gilgamesh, and Gilgamesh tells them that he'll prepare for the funeral and compensate those that survived. He declared the elder being Gorgon, wielder of the authority as Tiamat, as their enemy, and they started to talk about possible countermeasures. Firstly, they review what they know so far. Roman tells them that Gorgon is the minister known for killing heroes in Greek mythology, and it refers to 3 sisters: Stheno, the Orders, Euryale, the middle sister, and Medusa, the youngest. Merlin tells them that she's there either because of the King of Mages' Holy Grail or due to some twist of fate, and Roman confirms that she has restored her former appearance and power. He tells them that the authority to give birth to demonic beasts, Potnia Theron, must have come from the Holy Grail. Merlin tells them that the greed in Gorgon's case began when Medusa angered the great elder being, Athena of Olympus. In her wrath, Athena transformed Medusa into a monster, and this led to Medusa's sisters taking pity on her as they all moved to a remote island called the Shapeless Isle. The people influenced by Athena saw all 3 sisters as monsters, so they sought to kill them. After defeating many heroes who came to kill them, Medusa became a true monster and devoured her beloved sisters, causing the birth of Gorgon, a primordial elder being who possesses the divinity of the 3 sisters. Gilgamesh smiles after hearing the story, knowing that there's a chance for humans to win, contrary to what Tiamat had said earlier. Knowing that Tiamat is just watching out for the elder beings, Gilgamesh tells them that strife among enemies is the most entertaining weakness there is. He tells them that there is an order for defeating the 3 elder beings. Putting aside Gorgon, the lump of wrath, and the unknown elder being of the jungle, Ishtar happens to be their best bet. Gilgamesh tells them that they're going to bring Ishtar to their side, like taming a wild beast with the beast tamer being Fujimaru. He decides to teach him a much-valued secret plan. As they're heading out, they meet with Anna and tell her about their new mission. Anna joins them as they head towards Mat Ebi, a mountain that Ishtar seized by force and occupied in the past. On their way, Da Vinci notifies them of a signal and tells them to be careful. They arrive at Ishtar's temple, and as they stupidly try to go in through the front door, Ishtar welcomes them with a blast. She tells the losers that they have the mind to visit her after losing to the elder being of demonic beasts. Fujimaru tells her that they just want to talk, and she asks who permitted them to climb Mat Zebi in the first place. Merlin reminds her that she doesn't have a door or guards, so there's nothing they could have done. She tells them that she's not a friend, and immediately after, she goes in to attack them. As she and Anna go against each other, she uses her ride named Mana to fire a blast toward Anna, making Mash jump in to block the blast. Just as they expected, Ishtar shows them how weak they are compared to herself. Fujimaru goes in to attack with Merlin backing him up, and as he runs towards Anna, she fires a blast at him, but it turns out to be an illusion. Shortly after, Fujimaru reveals what every woman goes crazy for, gems. Earlier, Gilgamesh told Fujimaru that Ishtar loves gems, but she hasn't had any luck in obtaining them. Knowing this fact, they plan to buy her off with gems, offering her 20% of Gilgamesh's treasury jewels. After calming down to think about it, she finally accepts to join them. As expected, she tells the scoundrel to bow before her and kiss the top of her foot, reminding him that she's still a servant and will need to properly form a contract. After forming the temporary contract, Roman decides to question her. He asks if she's a pseudo-servant, meaning she's using a human body as a vessel, and she tells him that she is because divine spirits like her can't normally become servants. He asks what's going on with the owner of the body she possessed, saying he has an ethical problem with it. Someone get this trash off the road. She reminds him that Mash is a demi-servant, but he suddenly wants to talk about ethics with her. He tells her that his mistake and her problem are different matters, which is why he's setting things aside and asking her. She tells him that she didn't kill the owner of the body, and the owner's mind can't take control of the body. She tells him that they have both become one in a ratio of 70-30, with her being the majority. Hearing this makes Roman satisfied. On their way back to Uruk, they flatter Ishtar, knowing that she's the most powerful elder being in Mesopotamia. They tell her that they've seen Gugalana, the divine weapon that she received from the elder being, An, and they hope she uses it to destroy Gorgon. They tell her that the weapon will be kept as a last resort because using it will give the cartographers more work to do. They camp for the night and Fujimaru shows his usefulness a little by keeping watch. Ishtar comes to sit by his side, and she asks if it was love at first sight that made him bring her to his side. She asks if he's scared of her and if he hates her for being an elder being. He tells her that he wouldn't hate her for that. She asks what he thinks about the elder being's alliance, telling him that the elder beings of demonic beasts will never make peace with him, and she doesn't know much about that of the jungle. She tells him that she won't forgive Mesopotamia for what it's become, and she refuses to accept that humans abandoned the elder beings and tried to make their world, telling him that it's going to bring about mystery. She tells him that she joined the alliance so that his human world could become a world for both elder beings and humans, meaning she's not humans' enemy, but the enemy of humans' world. Gilgamesh welcomes back the heroes alongside the shameless elder being who came with them. He tells her that they'll deal with rehabilitating her later, but for now, they'll talk about the issue at hand. He tells them that although Ishtar has given in, the true nature of his plan is elsewhere. He goes on to say that the divine weapon of the elder being, Marduk, who ripped Tiamat's throat, the axe of Marduk, is the biggest secret plan they have against Gorgon. He tells them that the axe is still kept in Eridu, the first city in Sumerian mythology where the divine right to rule was given. It happens to be in a jungle south beyond Ur. Ishtar tells them that the elder being that holds the dominion over the south is the winged snake, a fellow elder being of Venus and the great bird of the sun. The wind is Mesoamerica, Quetzalcoatl. Roman hears this, and he starts to panic because he believes Quetzalcoatl might be more powerful than Gorgon. Gilgamesh tells them that he can't see the future of the Mesoamerica she's talking about due to the incineration of human history, so he tells Roman to gather information on the elder being. Shortly after, a loud bang is heard from the south, and a guard delivers a message from the south gate of Uruk, telling them that it has been destroyed by a single enemy, a woman calling herself Quetzalcoatl. Turns out they don't have to waste energy on transportation. After destroying the gate, she heads straight for Ziggurat, flinging humans standing in her way like rags. As she's about to smash one of the fodders, Mash jumps in and kicks her away. Mash tells Fujimaru that she's scared because Quetzalcoatl keeps smiling and yet doesn't hesitate to kill. Merlin asks if she's Quetzalcoatl from the Three Elder Beings Alliance, and she replies saying she is the big sister who came from Mesoamerica to destroy Uruk a little. Fujimaru asks why she's doing all of that, and she tells them that she wouldn't mind being on their side if Fujimaru marries her. A small price to pay, right? She tells them that the reason they're after Uruk is because they were called over by their mother to unalive humans, but how they do so is up to them. She tells them that she has decided to destroy them one by one. She tells them to relax as she only fights 100 people daily, because any more than that will affect her brain, and she'll start to forget her opponents. She calls in her bird who flies in to pick her up, and on her way going, she tells them that she'll be back by dawn for another 100 of them. Jaguarman walks in and starts to gather Quetzalcoatl's leftovers. Anna attacks immediately, but she dodges the attack and then turns back to take her leave. After that, they meet with Gilgamesh, and he tells them that they're no match for Quetzalcoatl even if they wanted to fight. He asks Roman if he has a plan, and Roman reminds them that they have Merlin with them, who can use his clairvoyance to take a peek at what Quetzalcoatl is doing. Guess a lot of you would love to have this kind of power. Merlin tells him that he'll like to do that, but she'll pick up on it if he observes her. And as the myth has shown, elder beings don't respond well to being peeked on. I mean, I won't respond well to being peeked at. Merlin tells them that it's too early to piss off an elder being, and besides, he's using his magical energy for other things. Roman suggests that their only option is infiltration, meaning they infiltrate her home base. After careful analysis, Roman plots out the location of the temple, telling them that they'll need to destroy the symbol that represents the deity in that temple to remove the temple's power and diminish Quetzalcoatl's divinity. Gilgamesh tells them to go through the jungle and head to Eridu, where they'll defeat Quetzalcoatl and recover the divine tool stores in Eridu, the axe of Marduk. On their way, Mash questions the survival of the mission because of the way Quetzalcoatl killed people. She suggests they talk things out instead, and Merlin tells them that it can be a possibility, considering Quetzalcoatl is only destroying humanity because her mother called her to do so. Later at night, Ishtar joins Fujimaru to keep watch. While they're sitting, she gives him a piece of advice, telling him that Quetzalcoatl is an elder being of good, the apex of all things good. This means that nothing good can harm her, and the only things that could harm her would have to be evil. She tells him not to rely on her, no matter what happens. The next morning, they continue their journey through the jungle, and Mash tries to find answers about the mother of the elder beings. They ask Ishtar, and she replies saying She couldn't care less about the three elder being alliance. Jaguarman appears in front of them again, but this time, they brush her off like the irrelevant person that she is. The dumbass continues to appear at their front, and they show her that she's irrelevant until she starts to cry in front of them. Ishtar blasts her head, but it turns out to be just a little scratch. Jaguarman tells Anna that she knows servants die when they're killed, and she should know what it's like as a fellow rogue servant. Anna tells them that she thought Jaguarman was Quetzalcoatl's minion, and Jaguarman tells them that she doesn't have a master. Fujimaru grants her usefulness by becoming her master, and they head to Eridu. Arriving at Eridu, the villagers recognize them to be from the Chaldean embassy. The people there happen to be those abducted from Uruk, and Mash is surprised to see them alive. Jaguarman tells them that Quetzalcoatl casts a killer revive on them right after giving them a killer hit, causing 0 casualties. In return, she keeps them captive as her soldiers and prevents them from returning to Uruk. Jaguarman tells them that Quetzalcoatl is much more terrifying than Gorgon if she shows her true self, as she's a monster who enjoys fighting, and words alone cannot defeat her. Fujimaru replies saying he doesn't intend on exchanging words with her. Merlin tells them that Eridu lies behind the jungle's veil, and knowing that they can't wait for Quetzalcoatl to head back to Uruk, and they also can't keep sacrificing people of Uruk, they go in to meet with Quetzalcoatl. Enkidu is a man created by the elder beings to kill Gilgamesh. They became friends, and Enkidu referred to Gilgamesh as a star. Fujimaru and his group head towards Quetzalcoatl's Temple of the Sun, where the people of the area have been taken to as sacrifices. While the others go on ahead, Merlin holds back the winged serpents. Upon arrival, the axe of Marduk is visible to them in its enormous size. Quetzalcoatl welcomes them to her temple, and Roman tells Fujimaru that his goal is what he's seeing on top of the temple, which is the Great Sunstone, the Aztec calendar. It happens to be Quetzalcoatl's second noble phantasm, and it's a monolith that's said to show the past, present, and future according to the Aztecs. In other words, it is the source of her power. Quetzalcoatl comes down the stairs and tells them that she'll accept any challenge because she finds it to be fun, and because humans are fun to mess with in all aspects. She tells them that she's a deity who can't exist without messing with humans, and she finds joy in human evolution as a result of the threat known as yours truly. She jumps in and launches the first attack towards Fujimaru, forcing Mash to get him out of the way. Turns out the woman who wanted to marry you yesterday can end up wanting to kill you today. Anna launches the next attack, knowing that it's a waste of time to try and converse with Quetzalcoatl. All of Anna's attacks ends up getting blocked. The both of them get themselves kicked around by Quetzalcoatl without landing a single hit on her. Quetzalcoatl continues to enjoy the thrill of battle, and she asks Fujimaru if he's enjoying it too. He tells her that he's not fighting for something like that. He tells her that his reason for fighting is to ensure that everyone can be a little happier after the battle. She hands him her weapon and tells him to admirably overcome her and head toward the Temple of the Sun. She charges towards him and Mash jumps in to block her. Even without her weapon, the fraud still needs protection. Immediately, Anna jumps in to attack. Quetzalcoatl kicks her up in the air and shows her the difference in their power. She completely violates Anna before smashing her to the ground. From nowhere, Ishtar starts to fire missiles from her fingertips towards Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl dodges all of it, and then meets with her in the air, and then smashes her into the ground. Turns out there are stronger elder beings amongst elder beings. Quetzalcoatl walks up to Fujimaru and tells him that his search for everyone's happiness may just be his arrogance. He tells her that he trusts everyone still, and everyone who has put their trust in him because the answer will be obvious once everything is over. Jaguarman tries to land a sneak attack on Quetzalcoatl from behind, but she misses. The mids take their stance so they can hold Quetzalcoatl down, while Fujimaru runs up to the altar. Jaguarman goes in to attack first, and shortly after, she finds herself landing heads down. While Ishtar fires a bomb toward Quetzalcoatl, Anna and Mash go in to attack, but they still struggle to land a hit on her. Quetzalcoatl ends up using their bodies to create a mini earthquake, leaving the two divine beings to go against each other. Immediately after Fujimaru reaches the top, Ishtar finds herself knocked out by Quetzalcoatl. As Quetzalcoatl walks towards the staircase, Fujimaru throws her weapon back at her, and he tells Roman that she wants a head-on battle of the soul instead of seeing a victory. He tells them that he wants to show her just how high humans can ascend, and just how courageous they are. Just like Naruto, Fujimaru plans on pounding everything he has seen on his journey into her. Quetzalcoatl tells him that his resolve is good, but it's still not enough height or courage, and that he's quite a ways from reaching the sun. Fujimaru calls on Ishtar, who then flies him high up in the sky, after which he jumps down head first. He wakes up in Quetzalcoatl's arms, and she asks why he was so reckless, asking if he didn't think she'd dodge. He tells her that he believes she'll take it head on, because she loves humans. Hearing this, Quetzalcoatl accepts defeat, and immediately leaves the three elder beings' alliance. She tells him that he's her master starting from then, and they sign the contract. After that, they take the axe and head back to Uruk. Roman tries to lecture Fujimaru on the importance of following his orders as he almost had himself killed with his previous stunt, but the communication breaks down midway. Fujimaru remembers the time when he was told about the 2004 Holy Grail War in Fuyuki City, Japan. The winner of the Holy Grail then was the previous director of Chaldea, Marisbury Animosphere, and he had an assistant named Roman Archean. The following year, Roman joined the staff of Chaldea with a completely hidden personal history before then. They were told then not to completely trust him because he was hiding an important secret concerning the Holy Grail War and the incineration of humanity. Right before they came to the singularity, Mash asked Roman if humans have any meaning at all, and Roman replied saying life has neither meaning nor merit right up to the end. She tells Fujimaru that she thinks what he told Quetzalcoatl and what the doctor told her is the same thing, and Fujimaru concludes by saying there has to be a meaning behind it even if the doctor is hiding something. Later at night, while Fujimaru is keeping watch, the fraud starts to fall asleep until Ishtar comes in. She sits by his side as usual and tells him that she came to praise him. They continue to talk with each other until he falls asleep on her lap. The next morning, as they arrive at Uruk, Siduri runs up to them to break the news about Gilgamesh. After overworking himself the past few days, Gilgamesh decides to take a rest, and he ends up in eternal slumber. Even an elder being can die from stress, so who are you not to rest? Merlin sees this as unreasonable, knowing Gilgamesh to be a man who saw the future and voluntarily became a mage, promising to focus on giving orders from the throne to prevent dying on the battlefield. He tells them that there's no way someone like King Gilgamesh could die. When Merlin calms down, he asks Siduri if anything strange happened in Uruk while they were away. After thinking about it, she tells them that they had many reports of death from weakness within Uruk. Seeing that the deaths are unnatural, Quetzalcoatl tells them that the three Elder Beings Alliance must be responsible, and by that, she means Ereshkigal, the Queen of Kur. She tells them that Ereshkigal's scent of death is what's filling Uruk currently, and her Galu spirits remove souls from the weak and exhausted first, meaning one of such spirits might have taken Gilgamesh's soul to Kur. This confirms that the members of the three Elder Being Alliance are Gorgon, Quetzalcoatl, and Ereshkigal. After careful analysis, Merlin figures out that Ereshkigal was also summoned when Ishtar was summoned. Ishtar can be seen as the Great Earth Mother, symbolizing human life, while Ereshkigal symbolizes human death and is the terrible Earth Mother. This means they're two sides of the coin, born from the same deity, and possibly she might have been active using Ishtar's body. Fujimaru remembers the strange face he woke up to when he slept on Ishtar's lap after keeping watch. Merlin asks for Gilgamesh's body, and he tells them that they can bring him back to life by defeating Ereshkigal and liberating his soul. They head to the underworld, the world where every heroic spirit and dirty is powerless with the help of Ishtar. She tells Quetzalcoatl, Merlin, and Anna to stay back and come over to Kutha in the worst-case scenario to negotiate with Ereshkigal and have Fujimaru and Mash return to the world above. Ishtar asks once again if he's sure of going, telling him that it's either they all return after defeating Ereshkigal or they fail and everyone is trapped. Fujimaru replies saying he's sure Ereshkigal is not a bad elder being. Ishtar goes on to blast open the door to the underworld and lands them there. The underworld is lit by the souls of the humans who have died on the surface. Ishtar tells them that souls trapped there aren't allowed to disappear, as Ereshkigal cages them up as she likes and keeps them at her side to enjoy for tens of thousands of years. She tells them that Ereshkigal's palace is a bit further, beyond the 7 gates. Seeing that Ishtar knows a lot about the underworld, she tells them that she came there once and messed things up. She felt nothing was impossible for her after conquering Mount Ebi, so she got carried away and headed into the underworld where she received multiple L's and was shown how miserable she was. She had her 7 authorities stripped away from her, and in the end, she was dragged like a worthless rag in front of Ereshkigal and skewered over and over with spears. They arrive at the first gate, and Ishtar tells them that they'll get questions with 2 possible answers, as the underworld gates are fair and logical, aimed at testing whether a soul is good or evil. She tells them that the gates are what stripped her of her authorities the last time she was there. Ereshkigal asks who is more beautiful between herself and Ishtar. Fujimaru answers saying it's Ishtar, and as Ishtar tries to go in through the first gate after Fujimaru's answer, she gets herself fried. Fujimaru then changes his answer to Ereshkigal, and the door opens. Arriving at the 7th gate, Fu appears to be big enough to carry Ishtar on her back, but trust me, Fu didn't increase in size at all. Gilgamesh meets with them and tells them that although he did accidentally die, the underworld is like his backyard, and he was easily able to let them pass by him and not get himself captured by Ereshkigal. Gilgamesh walks away and tells them that there are some things that he still needs to do in the underworld, and he's not heading out for the time being. He tells them that he won't be able to leave the underworld without Ereshkigal's permission, which is more reason to punish her and leave the underworld with pleasure. As they head further, Mash asks about Ereshkigal's strength so she can weigh their chances if it ends up in a fight. Gilgamesh tells her that Ereshkigal isn't quite on Ishtar's level. He tells them that if Ishtar is an elder being who has obtained all she ever wanted, Ereshkigal is the elder being who didn't desire anything. Ereshkigal was cast into the underworld shortly after she was born to become its ruler and foundation, because someone had to maintain the underworld. In exchange for this, she became invincible in the underworld, making heroic spirits and elder beings lose their power in the underworld. Against someone alive, she would have to kill them first before the laws of the underworld would go into effect, meaning Mash and Fujimaru could deal with her. Gilgamesh tells them that she's about mid-level in terms of divinity and authority, so they can deal with her. Shortly after, they arrive at Ereshkigal's palace. As soon as Ereshkigal shows herself, the entire place begins to freeze, and trust me, her appearance is proof enough that she lied at the first gate. Just by Ereshkigal revealing herself, weak Fujimaru falls to his knees. She tells him that he'll despair in his powerlessness, and he stands up as if he's strong enough to hurt a fly and tells her that he's not going to despair. He tells her that he wants her to return Gilgamesh to the world above. The dumb stretches forth his hands and asks her to join him in saving Uruk, saying she's not an evil elder being. An explosion occurs, and she tells him that her choice will not change. With 2 days left for Gorgon to assault Uruk, she tells them that she'll conquer Uruk and seize its greater grail, killing every human in Mesopotamia and gathering their souls in Kur. She tells them that this is her very first choice of her own free will, and she'll kick him aside if he's going to stand in her way. She picks up her spear and starts to blast rocks at him. Mash asks for his orders while Ishtar reminds him that he won't last long even if he's wearing a mystic code now that Ereshkigal has revealed herself. The dumbass thinks he's Naruto and then asks for another chance to talk to Ereshkigal. Ereshkigal blasts more rocks towards Mash, and as she tries to land some from up, Gilgamesh destroys them. With rocks flying around the place, Gilgamesh destroys the ones coming towards him, while Mash evades the ones thrown at her. Ishtar tells them that they can get close to Ereshkigal if they can somehow deal with her lance. As Mash moves closer, Ereshkigal tries to strike her with the lance, but Mash blocks the strike. Mash gets smashed into the ground, and Gilgamesh diverts Ereshkigal's attention from Mash. He tells Ereshkigal that although he may be dead for the time being, he can still convict her under his royal authority. He asks why she joined the Three Elder Being Alliance, asking if she has abandoned her duty to protect Summer's people and culture. She tells him that it's her destiny to manage all humans and souls within the underworld, and she has no regrets or remorse for dedicating all that she has to that task. He tells her that her defeat will serve as punishment for her sins. Hearing that she'll be punished for fulfilling her duties, she gets mad. Like the annoying mosquito flying around your ear, Ishtar flies towards Ereshkigal's ear and starts to yap, but Ereshkigal blasts her away. After trying to smash them, Ereshkigal looks back on her life, thinking of how she has always wanted friends and how she watched her other half enjoying life. She stretches forth her hand to Fujimaru in search of acceptance, and Fujimaru declines. He tells her that he'll hurt her pride if he commends her. With tears dropping from her eyes, she tells him that she'll kill anyone, including him if he's not going to understand her and commend her. While charging up her next attack, she tells them that she'll create a land of the dead that won't take a step back from any other world. Fujimaru asks if that's why she dominates over humans, and she tells him that it's her choice. He calls her a liar, telling her that she's acting trying to protect humans. He commands Mash using his command spell to protect Ereshkigal's dignity, choice, and will with all her might. Mash jumps and summons Lord Camelot, using it to block Ereshkigal's Gugalana. It ends up breaking Ereshkigal's resolve. Gilgamesh tells Ishtar that the reason Fujimaru will not commend her is because bemoaning the obligations one chose to uphold dutifully is evil, and to praise that pain is only an insult to oneself. Ereshkigal reveals herself and asks Fujimaru why he thinks she is lying. He tells her that she was always worried about humans, and she also came to visit him time and time again, and taught him a lot of things, so he was sure that she wasn't an evil elder being. She tells him that she guessed she got it all twisted up back when they first met in Kutha and didn't kill him. As she turns to face Fujimaru, she gets sliced from the back. Ishtar jumps in to attack, but doesn't land a hit. Ziusudra tells them that the sword didn't sever her bond to life, but instead, it severed her bond to the misbegotten alliance. Gilgamesh asks Ziusudra who he is, and Fujimaru recognizes him from his last visit to the underworld. Ereshkigal asks him why he freed her, and he tells her that he has come from the abyss to set events in motion. She tells them that protecting the silence in the underworld was her pride as an elder being, and this was the reason she joined the Three Elder Being Alliance. Ziusudra tells her that the alliance has been severed, and she can do as she wishes from there on. Immediately after saying this, he disappears. Fujimaru tells her that he wants her to fight against Gorgon with her. She agrees to fight with him and decides not to enter into a contract with him yet, because she believes a contract should deal with both parties equally and in a fair manner, so she has to repay his kindness first. On their way out, Ereshkigal releases her hold on the various human souls who can still return to the upper world, seeing that their bodies are not yet buried. As Gilgamesh is heading out, he concludes that the particular soul isn't there after all, confirming that it is nowhere to be found. He tells Siduri that Enkidu's corpse, which should have been buried in the graveyard of the underworld, had been buried with much courtesy. He tells her that the relationship between Enkidu and Ereshkigal is not a bad one. Seeing that the corpse is gone, and knowing that the elder beings themselves destroyed Enkidu's soul, Gilgamesh concludes that the fraud moving around isn't Enkidu. While Anna waits for the arrival of Fujimaru and the others, she pulls down her hood, revealing her beautifully braided hair. They meet with Gilgamesh at Ziggurat, where they start the strategy meeting for the Gorgon attack. Currently, all remaining forces have gathered at Uruk's northern wall to prepare for the imminent invasion of Gorgon's main army. The demonic beasts have gathered in the cedar forest with their numbers over 10 times that of Uruk's force. Seeing that humanity cannot win in this situation, Gilgamesh suggests that they attack their base as it's the only thing they can do. He tells them that the people of Uruk will buy them some time at the northern wall so they can use that time to conquer Gorgon's base, the Blood Fort. Ishtar goes on to ask if they expect everything to go to plan. She asks how they plan on destroying the Blood Fort. Gilgamesh replies saying that's where the axe of Marduk comes in. He tells them that it should be able to destroy the Blood Fort and carve a path through to the inside. Jaguarman was tasked earlier to deliver the axe to Uruk, but she was later redirected to take it to the northern wall. Siduri tells them that there's still a slight problem, as the demonic beasts might shoot down the axe if it is to be delivered the same way it was delivered to them. Gilgamesh suggests that Quetzalcoatl throws it, but she tells them that it's of no use because the alliance rules are still in effect, the one that forbids members from attacking each other. Merlin tells them that he'll take care of the axe by levitating it a little and then dropping it. He suggests that he and Fujimaru sneak into the cedar forest and head to the temple, and once they're close to the temple, he'll give them a signal and she'll just throw the axe to him. After the meeting is completed, everyone disperses except Merlin. He asks Gilgamesh if it's time to say goodbye, reminding him that the Holy Grail will be retrieved by defeating Gorgon and the era won't collapse, ending the job he gave them. Gilgamesh tells him that it's impressive he held out for that long and wishes him well until the world's end. As they head out, Fujimaru tries to relieve Merlin during nighttime so he can get some sleep. Merlin laughs and decides to give him a little Merlin trivia. Fujimaru tells him that he doesn't know much about Merlin, and Merlin replies saying he rarely talks about himself, and when does, he lies his way out. Merlin tells the weakling to ask just one question. Fujimaru asks him why he decided to serve Gilgamesh, and Merlin replies saying he and Gilgamesh are very similar in nature, as the both of them do not have any attachments to humans themselves, but they both like humans. They arrive at the northern wall, and Anna stays up outside watching the stars. Fujimaru meets up with her and asks if she isn't going to sleep. She tells him that she can't sleep, so she's resting out there. She asks why he isn't sleeping, and he tells her that he's going to stay up till morning. He hands her a flower from an old lady she saved earlier, and she tells him about their time together. Anna tells him that she dislikes humans, but they're very warm, and that the city of Uruk was like a dream for her. She tells him that she has always wanted humans to be nice to her, and for her to be nice to humans, as it's also what her old self wanted. She asks Fujimaru if he knows the truth about her already, and he tells her that he does. She hands back the flower to him with tears in her eyes, telling him that she cannot accept it as the old lady's grandchild was killed by demonic beasts at the northern wall. She tells him that the journey changed her reason for fighting, as she only fought for herself before, but now she's fighting for the people of Uruk too. At daybreak, the demonic beasts attack, and they all go to take it down. Enkidu notices someone schooling a large number of demonic beasts, and as he goes to check it out, he finds out that it's Quetzalcoatl. He flies in to attack her, and he tells her that her being there makes it safe to assume the three elder being alliance fell apart. While Quetzalcoatl is enjoying the thrill of battle, Enkidu attacks with his blades and chains, but she moves through each of them like the wind and mid-air. As she tries to land a follow-up attack, Enkidu pushes her away and grabs her back with her chain, forcing them to come at each other like Naruto and Sasuke. Merlin, Ishtar, Mash, Anna, and Fujimaru head into the cedar forest where they take out the demonic beasts. Roman tells them about the giant signals of divinity he's picking up ahead of them, which happens to be Blood Fort. He tells Merlin to send the signal, and Merlin does just that. Seeing the signal, Quetzalcoatl receives the axe of Marduk and delivers it to Merlin faster than DHL could ever dream. Enkidu notices Gorgon's divinity falling, and he wonders if the axe destroyed the temple. Quetzalcoatl's divinity is reduced by half because she broke the pact mistakenly when she went overboard with her throw. They head into the temple, and on their way in, Anna asks Mash to lend her power to defeat Gorgon. They arrive at the deepest part of the Blood Fort, and the dimwit called Fujimaru yells out at Gorgon to show herself. Gorgon shows up and tells them that she'll wipe out the entirety of humanity and keep Fujimaru as her master. She tells him that he doesn't have any reason to fight for people at that time, and he tells her that although she's a creation of mankind, he refuses to accept her. He tells her that her words are empty and twisted twister, just like her body. Ishtar tells her that she's a Walmart elder, being because of the Grail's power. Anna removes her hood and walks up to Gorgon, telling her that she's just a monster who lost sight of who she truly is. Seeing Anna without her hood makes Gorgon begin to feel cold. She starts to scream, saying they should get Anna out of the temple. After Anna gives a little talk, Merlin asks if she's ready and tells her that he'll unleash the divinity she has been holding back the whole time. Merlin unleashes her divinity, and she tells them that she'll use her mystic eyes to offset that of Gorgon. Anna and Gorgon have a face-off with each other, as Gorgon tries to strike Anna, but Anna evades all of them. As she fires her beam towards Anna, Anna fires it back through her head. Gorgon starts to freak out every time Anna looks at her, and with that opening, Anna jumps in to cut down Gorgon's body. Merlin, Mash, and Ishtar jump in to defend Anna. And if you're wondering what Fujimaru is doing during all these, he's probably somewhere with his popcorn, watching the fight in the highest possible quality. Gorgon tells Anna to stop interrupting with her vengeance. She fires a beam towards Anna, and Mash blocks it with her shield. As Anna goes in to attack, with this opening, Anna makes her way to Gorgon's chest, but Gorgon strikes her away. Gorgon begins to have an identity crisis as she tells them her name is Tiamat, the primordial elder being. Anna reminds her of her true identity, telling her that she is the mother of the Shapeless Isle, the hero slayer, and that her vengeance will never leave the island. Anna jumps in and strikes Gorgon's chest. As Gorgon begins to fade away, she tells her other self goodbye, saying that although their sadness is something they may not be able to discard, it is something that shouldn't have been answered, which is why they should disappear together. Merlin tells Fujimaru that Anna is the immortal killer, and it's the special characteristics that her weapon has, meaning Gorgon's immortality is useless against it. Anna falls into her death alongside Gorgon, eradicating both of them for the current era. Thinking that the fight is over, Merlin tells them that Gorgon used the Holy Grail's power to regain the divinity she once had, but she didn't have the Grail itself, making the true bearer of the Grail to be Enkidu. Enkidu bursts in to see her dead. He starts to attack, telling them that he'll deliver the blow as an offering to her spirit. A space-time quake occurs and is about to get Mesopotamia a spatial rift. Merlin starts to bleed through his mouth, and he tells them that it looks like they've fallen for it. He tells Enkidu that it seems he has won the battle of wits. Merlin earlier put Gorgon in a cage of dreams to postpone her awakening, and this starts to happen because they killed Gorgon. Enkidu tells them that his only concern was finding a way to pull Gorgon out of her slumber, but if she wouldn't wake up while alive, all he had to do was to kill her. Merlin tells them that Gorgon has Tiamat's authority, Potnia Theron, and it wasn't a copy but a synchronization with the real thing. And because they defeated her, the impact of death reverberated back to the synchronized mother. Enkidu tells them that he wanted to at least grant Golgon's wish, but all said and done, he welcomes their true mother, the original sin of humanity, and is the apocalypse the king spoke of. As Merlin begins to fade away, he tells Fujimaru to return to Uruk quickly, and tells Gilgamesh that it has awakened but hasn't started moving yet. He tells Fujimaru that they can't avoid being wiped out, but there are things they can still do. Da Vinci tells them that unknown magical energy signals have been detected within the Persian Gulf, and they total over 100 million, and still increasing in numbers with 20,000 making their way to Uruk. She tells them that the first wave should be arriving in several hours. Fujimaru tells Ishtar to fly over to Uruk to deliver the message while they catch up with her later. She tells them to have Quetzalcoatl pick them up along the way. While they're flying over Uruk, they see the entire city being annihilated, and Ishtar tells them to prepare themselves as the creatures they're up against are nothing like they've seen before. She tells them to secure a path to Ziggurat immediately after they land. Shortly after they battle with the creatures stand up and take their leave. They head over to Ziggurat to report the situation to Gilgamesh. The citizens who had come to cry earlier wait for Gilgamesh's orders, and Gilgamesh leads them all to a suicidal battle like Erwin Smith. He tells them that there's no need for them to die with Uruk. Instead, they should all head to the northern wall and die for Uruk. While the citizens of Uruk take their leave, Fujimaru delivers Merlin's message about the evils of humanity to Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh tells them that the evils of humanity refer to humanity's stigmas, a series of disasters that destroy humanity. They get stronger with respect to humanity's development. Gilgamesh tells them that the evils of humanity are not evils that destroy humanity, but instead, they are evils that humanity destroys. He tells them that their class is beast, and that is what the Mage King has awoken, and Tiamat herself is one of those beasts. Currently, Tiamat is yet to be completely awakened. Roman comes in and tells them that the creatures have been created by the muds of the elder beings, meaning they don't exist in their genealogical tree, and they emit so much magical energy because their magical circuits are those of beings from the age of elder beings, more like Enkidus produced in a Toyota factory. Roman goes on to call them the children of the elder being Tiamat, Lahmu. Fujimaru notices Sidori's absence, and when he asks of her, Gilgamesh tells him that she tried to protect the people from Lahmu, so she got herself captured and taken to Eridu. He allows them to head to Eridu to save Sidori. Arriving at Siduri, they find the Lammas using the humans as a form of entertainment, and Ishtar launches the first attack from the sky, blowing them up continuously, while Mash and Fujimaru head down to save the humans, while Quetzalcoatl backs them up. As they try saving the humans, they notice that the beasts are smart enough to ignore them and go after the weak fodders. Fujimaru tells them to hold off their attack, as he notices something similar between one of the Lammas and Siduri. Enkidu jumps in and kills the Lammas surrounding Mash. Seeing how inferior they are compared to humans, he decides to command them, telling Fujimaru and his team that they're creatures from the same mother. Fujimaru tells Enkidu that he's not one of Tiamat's children. He tells him that Enkidu's body was nowhere to be found the last time Gilgamesh visited the underworld. He tells him that he wasn't born from anyone, and that he's different from the Lammus created from Tiamat, as he's just an imposter who was created by the utilization of Enkidu's corpse. While he still classifies himself as one of Tiamat's puppets, a Lammu walks up to him and stabs through his back, calling him a boring person. Enkidu knows he's just a puppet made of mud who works for Tiamat, but he's okay with that being enough reason for his existence. After stabbing Enkidu, the Lammas begin to laugh. As it removes its hands from her chest, the signal of the Holy Grail comes out with it. The Lammas swallows the Grail, and then evolves. It tells Enkidu that it's not his job to wake their mother. Ishtar blasts it, but Quetzalcoatl reminds her to be careful, as it has a magical reactor core within its body. It tries to run away, but Ishtar goes after it while Enkidu runs to the top of the Temple of the Sun, where he gets surrounded by Lahmus. They make fun of him seeing how useless he has become without the Holy Grail. Lost in his illusion, Enkidu believes he should be the ultimate weapon of the era, but he turns out to be powerless and weak. Like the weakling that he is, he runs deep into the forest. Quetzalcoatl and Ishtar continue to attack the winged Lammu, but they struggle to land a hit. Seeing the winged Lammu fly away, Ishtar goes after it, while Quetzalcoatl calls in her Uber so they can go after them to get the Holy Grail before it gets into the hands of the primordial mother. Seeing how useless he has turned out to be, Enkidu continues to run deep within the forest while the Lammas chase after him. At a point, he stops and accepts defeat, but as he's about to get stabbed, one of the Lammas ambushes the others and kills them before getting itself killed. In its last moments, he tells Enkidu to find happiness, referring to him as a dear friend. He tells him that he gave the Lone King a life, and that none didn't grieve his death. As it falls apart, it thanks Enkidu for being able to tell him. Enkidu feels something strange within him, as tears start to roll down from his eyes. Without knowing her, he remembers her face and wonders why she's thanking him, telling himself that he doesn't have any right to receive her gratitude. They continue to chase down the winged Lammu as it heads towards the center of the Persian Gulf. Ishtar notices that the speed and endurance of the winged Lammu is because it consolidated the Holy Grail's magical energy into its wings. After distracting it a little bit, she grabs it with the aim of plummeting its torso. Immediately after grabbing it, she signals Quetzalcoatl to come in and smash it to the shore. As they try to collect the Holy Grail, they sense the presence of a servant. The person uses the Wandering Tales of Shana O, Act 2, Usumidoru Heavenly Steps to set free the winged Lammu. Quetzalcoatl asks the person to reveal herself, and Ushiwaka walks out of the water towards them. She draws her sword towards them and attacks, but Mash swiftly jumps in to block the attack. Fujimaru orders Mash to defeat the enemy servant, and they'll chase after the Holy Grail. Mash and Quetzalcoatl tag team as they jump Ushiwaka. Quetzalcoatl goes in as the sword while Mash goes in as the shield. Ishtar tries to regain the magical energy she used in flying on their way there, while Fujimaru acts as the grand spectator. Ushiwaka escapes the people jumping her and tries to attack Fujimaru, but she gets blasted away by Ishtar, who asks her if she got duller when she darkened. After receiving the hit, Ushiwaka fades away, and as they're about to chase after the Holy Grail, Ushiwaka reappears again, telling them that they'll be unalive there and then. For every step she takes, she begins to multiply just like the Lammas. After Roman's careful analysis, he tells them that a new servant will grow as long as a finger or a single strand of hair survives, meaning they'll have to simultaneously evaporate all of the cores. Ushiwaka tells them that she's multiplying just by borrowing a tiny fraction of her mother's powers, and they cannot kill her or her mother unless they burn the entire ocean away. Ushiwaka literally reversed the jumping, making it multiple of herself against Quetzalcoatl. With Ishtar completely out of magical energy, Fujimaru transfers all his magical energy to her, after which she creates a nuke to blast away all of Ushiwaka. At least Fujimaru is useful enough to serve as an extra tank. Before she fades away, she tells them that they have no chance of winning as the Holy Grail has been delivered. Shortly after, they have a virtual meeting with Gilgamesh at the observation post. He tells them that they can hold off the Lammas around Uruk for about an hour, and wouldn't last more than that. He starts by sharing information, telling them that the black seawater is Tiamat's authority itself, and it infects those who touch it and copies the authority into their cell, making them her slaves. He tells them that the water levels are abnormal, as the Black Sea started to rise by the minute from the moment the Grail was supposedly stolen from them, meaning the observation post will be swallowed in 3 hours, and the Black Sea will overflow onto the land, showing them something even worse than the Great Flood that once destroyed Mesopotamia, signaling the end of humanity. They ask Roman for a plan. He tells them that he just observed a spirit origin signature at the center of the Persian Gulf, and it happens to be the Holy Grail, with an ultra world-class magical reactor core with more than 7 times the magical energy of a grail. He then says that he assumes the spirit origin is that of the primordial demonic beast that birthed Tiamat. Gilgamesh orders them to go and defeat Tiamat. Fujimaru and the others fly towards Tiamat, and on their way, more llamas begin to spawn right out of the water but refuse to react to them. A loud voice comes out from the large dark cloud ahead of them, and Roman confirms the origin of the abnormal spirit. As they draw closer, Tiamat becomes visible to them. With Tiamat's limbs still bound, they decide to take their only chance at defeating her, but as they draw closely, she lets out a scream that prevents them from moving. The magical energy inside her begins to surge as she puts out as much energy as a hydrogen bomb. Roman tells them that Uruk will get blasted even from that distance if Tiamat fires. Useless Fujimaru tries to head towards Tiamat, but Ishtar stops him, telling him that she'll settle things in one shot. Fujimaru backs her up with magical energy, and she opens up a gate, letting in all of her power and soul the size of a planet. She compresses it and then fires it all towards Tiamat, creating a large hole amidst the seabed. Roman confirms that the magical reactor has stopped, declaring their victory. He tells them to wait for the ocean to return to its normal, and then they can retrieve the Grail, accomplishing their mission. As they head back, Da Vinci notices a power surge, confirming the reconstruction of the spirit origin. Roman wonders if what they just defeated was the brain and not the main body is coming up. Looks like they're all toast. The water levels of the Persian Gulf begin to rise, and Roman orders all of them to retreat. Tiamat appears out of the water in her full glory, and the Black Sea begins to multiply. With Tiamat looking towards Uruk, they decide to head back to Uruk and rejoin Gilgamesh. Roman asks Quetzalcoatl if she can defeat Tiamat with her powers and noble phantasm. As the highest deity in Mesoamerica, she replies saying they can't scratch Tiamat even with Ishtar's authority or with any other power currently left in Mesopotamia. With the Black Sea heading towards Uruk, Gilgamesh orders them to raise the anchors, and it buys them more time. Gilgamesh walks up to the window and says the time he has been waiting for has come. He tells Tiamat that what is beyond the mythical battle is something even he can't foresee. He asks if she'll swallow the world, or if humanity will be worthy of flourishing, and he declares the start of the final battle of the Age of Elder Beings. And he tells them that there are only 500 people left in Uruk. He tells them not to despair, and that there will be others who will follow in their footsteps even if they perish. Ishtar goes on to say that if the Sumerian civilization, Uruk, and the dummy they have as king manage to survive, Mesopotamian civilization will be protected, meaning they have to stop Tiamat and protect Uruk if they want to protect human history. Seeing that Fujimaru hasn't given up, the rest of Chaldea cheer up as they believe there's still hope. Roman sends all of Tiamat's data to Fujimaru, and they go for a fresh start. After analyzing the data, they found out that she has no weakness. Da Vinci tells them that it seems Tiamat wasn't born into the concept of death because she is the mother of life, and the very fact that they're alive proves her existence. From Jaguarman's animal instinct, she tells them that it'll take Tiamat 2 days to get to the coast. A voice appears from underground asking Gilgamesh what's going up in the land because she notices tons and tons of souls arriving at Kur one after the other. Gilgamesh brings out a mirror that allows them to communicate with Ereshkigal, who happens to be in the underworld. They tell her the situation of things on the land, and she shows them how the underworld looks like with overflowing souls. Gilgamesh and Fujimaru think of the same thing, which is to send Ereshkigal to the underworld. Gilgamesh then commands her to open the gate of the underworld across all of Uruk and then bound Tiamat down in the bowels of the earth. Ereshkigal tells them that it's practically impossible, but she'll give it a try. She tells them that covering the entirety of Uruk with a hold of death is not an easy task, as it'll normally take her 10 years to prepare for. But considering her hate for Uruk, she had been planning for something like that ahead, so she asks for 3 days to have it ready. The only issue they have now is time, because their plan will take 3 days before completion. But Tiamat will come knocking in 2 days, meaning they'll have to hold Tiamat off for about a day. While they're thinking of how to do it, Gilgamesh tells them that the strategy for victory is clearly in sight, and that strategy happens to be Ishtar, and the weapon set aside to be used as the last resort, the Gugalana. They tell her to use it to stop Tiamat in her tracks. Ishtar tries to evade having to use the weapon, and seeing her reaction, considering she would have been proud to use it, Gilgamesh asks her what's wrong, and she tells him that she doesn't have the weapon. Enkidu stands atop a mountain, knowing that it'll be the final night for both him and humans. Gilgamesh tells them that in his vision, he was the only one left in Uruk, but the greater part of 500 people survived, and he considers it to be a great achievement. He tells them not to blame themselves for how things turned out, as everyone in Uruk already knew about what was to come, but still chose to fight with all their hearts. At night, Quetzalcoatl visits Fujimaru in his home, and they have a little talk with each other. She asks to stay at Uruk over the night, as she doesn't want them to feel uneasy in their final nights. She tells him that she had known about the existence of the true form of Tiamat, and that Gorgon wasn't Tiamat, but she couldn't tell the truth because she was a bad elder being. She tells him that she didn't want him pitying her, and she wanted them to go all out against her. Enkidu appears in Ziggurat, and while he's wondering why he came there, Gilgamesh tells the fool to stand up, as he won't allow him to put his corpse on display there. He tells Enkidu to vanish, and he'll free him of his crimes. For someone who's supposed to be the elder being's greatest creation, Enkidu struggles to stand. Sounds like a faulty creation. Gilgamesh powers him up with something similar to the Holy Grail, and although he's his enemy, he tells him that he's still worthy of his protection and friendship. He tells Enkidu that even if his heart and soul are different, his body is the only chain of the heavens on earth. He goes on to say that someone once insisted that they were a weapon to the very end, but if he had taken them at their word, then it's only natural for him to care for him, knowing that he's the successor to the weapon he trusted most. Gilgamesh tells Enkidu to do as he likes, as it's the end of the world. During their next war council meeting the next day, Gilgamesh tells them to assume that Tiamat can only walk on the black mud as her legs are too tiny to support her body. This means they can stop her movement by getting rid of the black mud. Gilgamesh receives news from the South Observation Post confirming that Tiamat has resumed her advance. They estimate her arrival to be in 8 hours, which happens to be half a day earlier than they had calculated. Roman tells them that it's not going to be enough time for them to analyze and create a decomposition agent. Quetzalcoatl tells them not to worry, as her noble phantasm is enough to clear a perimeter of the black mud around Tiamat. The only risk is staying close to Tiamat to continually provide magical energy while holding the Lammas back. After concluding the plan, they go out to prepare while Gilgamesh addresses the remaining citizens of Uruk. He reminds them of what he told them 6 months ago, that they'll fail no matter how hard they try, and he permitted them to run away then, but they decided to stay back and fight. He tells them once again that Uruk will fall, but there's no need to lament this time, because if there's just one person who can see the dawn of victory, their ways of life will be engraved in that one's heart. He tells them that now is the time to deny the primordial elder being and begin the age of man. Gilgamesh's speech lights up the blown-out fire in the hearts of the citizens of Uruk, making them determined to give their all. While Jaguarman deals with things on land, the others fly towards Tiamat. As the first wave approaches them, Ishtar starts to take them out before Quetzalcoatl joins in. They wipe out the first wave with ease, but new spirit origins continue to appear on the radar in their increasing numbers, and sooner, they get surrounded. Ushiwaka appears again, and they start to fight against her. As Ushiwaka is about to slice Mashed from behind, Benki arrives and cuts her down. Benki goes against the reincarnation of Ushiwaka, slicing her faster than she expects. Tiamat appears to be right in front of the Fang of Napishtim, and with her surroundings heavily guarded by a pack of llamas, Fujimaru dives headfirst, using Mash's shield to smash through the pack of llamas, heading straight for Tiamat. Like chicken invaders, they fly through the pack of llamas, killing anyone who stands in their way. 3 kilometers close to the target, Roman tells them to brace themselves for Quetzalcoatl's unleashing of her noble phantasm. Shortly after Ushiwaka's attack, Quetzalcoatl blasts in to create a huge hole in the swarm to allow Fujimaru to distance himself from the target as far as he can. Benkei stays closer to guard Quetzalcoatl. Benkei goes to strike Ushiwaka, while Quetzalcoatl prepares her noble phantasm. Benkei holds Ushiwaka down, even after getting defeated. Quetzalcoatl fires her noble phantasm, Piedra del Sol, which blows up like a nuclear weapon, wiping out everything in its range at an amazing speed, including the black mud. In the absence of the black mud, Tiamat stops advancing and collapses to the ground with her chicken leg. Quetzalcoatl continues to unleash her noble phantasm, helping them to buy time, but Tiamat pulls something up her sleeve. She begins to concentrate her magical energy around her horns and rear skeleton, making it possible for her to stand without regard to her weight. Tiamat begins to fly, and this discovery means that she won't fall into the underworld. With the power of the underworld Xibalba and the cataclysmic impact that annihilated countless lives, Quetzalcoatl flies above the earth to become the comet that killed Earth, hence burning everything away. She lands this 3-walled comet on Tiamat's head, and while she struggles to go beyond a particular wall, Fujimaru uses his last command spell on her, telling her to bring victory to Quetzalcoatl. This replenishes her with enough energy to break through the wall and directly blow up Tiamat's head. Even with an attack of that caliber, they still struggle to defeat Tiamat. Fujimaru tells Roman to analyze the damage done to Tiamat, as they might be able to find a way to break through from the wound's location. He tells Ishtar to intercept the llamas so they can see to the northwest, while Mash unleashes her noble phantasm in front of the enemy. Gorgon reappears again, and tells the weaklings to get out of her way as she hopes to smash Tiamat's wings and teach her that it is she who slithers across the ground. Without anything else left to do, the shameless Fujimaru decides to trust Gorgon with everything left there, and he takes his leave. Mash tries to tell Fujimaru that the Gorgon is Anna, but he tells her that he already knows. Anna once again reappears to save the day, knowing she didn't get to say a proper goodbye the last time. She feels like she has gotten one that's enough for her. Tiamat continues to scream, and Gorgon tells her that she'll show her the true pain. She tells Tiamat that she'll be the great snake and bring the earth dragon down. She fires her pandemonium cetus towards Tiamat, and it breaks open a part of Tiamat's body before she begins to fade away. After Gorgon faded away, Tiamat continued to remain standing. Seeing the performance of the 2 elder beings, Gilgamesh goes in for his show. Fujimaru and Mash arrive to meet with Gilgamesh, and he shows them Uruk in its entirety. Black mud begins to flow through Uruk, and Tiamat draws closer. As Gilgamesh prepares to fight, he tells Fujimaru and Mash to sit back and see through it to the very end. Without lapis lazuli or any soldiers, Gilgamesh operates all 360 dingirs, and he fires them towards Tiamat. In return for Gilgamesh's attack, Tiamat fires a huge blast towards Fujimaru, but Gilgamesh receives the hit instead, as he pushes Fujimaru out of the way. With a hole through Gilgamesh's stomach, he stands up and continues his attack, finally deciding to get serious, knowing that he has a king's vanity. A horde of llamas heads towards Uruk ahead of Tiamat, and just as Ishtar is about to unleash the magical energy she had saved up, Enkidu joins the battle and starts taking down the mass-produced trash filling up the skies. As Tiamat arrives at Uruk, Enkidu goes up to her, knowing that he was born into the world to preserve it. He decides to show her the power of the chain of heavens while awakening the breath of stars. He uses them to restrain Tiamat. Seeing what had just happened, Gilgamesh tells Fujimaru and Mash that with those chains, a single step is difficult for Tiamat, and although it was only a momentary restraint, it is a mind-numbing eternity for her. He tells them that he has sent his friend off twice, the first time he was mourning, but this time is different, as his proud and valiant figure is burned into his memory for eternity. He thanks Fujimaru because he knows he has made a huge difference in the era. He leaves everything to the hands of Fujimaru. Ereshkigal tells Fujimaru that the phase transition between underground Uruk and the underworld is done, and they'll just need to dig a hole. Fujimaru tells Ishtar that they're going to drop Tiamat into the underworld, and as requested, Ishtar punches through the ground with no mercy using her Angalta Kigalsi. Fujimaru and Mash find themselves in the underworld, and Ereshkigal welcomes them, telling them that she already made an exception and authorized permission for them to exist and float within the underworld. A quake occurs as Tiamat starts to cry in the underworld. Light like lightning surrounds her, and Fujimaru wonders what it is. Roman tells him that it's enough heat comparable to Ishtar's noble phantasm that set Tiamat ablaze, and it doesn't seem to be going out. Ereshkigal tells them that it's one of the underworld's security features, as it happens to the living who come in without her permission. Ereshkigal tries to finish her off as the master of the underworld, but Tiamat covers herself in mud, creating a chaotic tide of corruption that continues to spread and threatens to take out the underworld. Tiamat begins to corrupt the underworld, and her spirit origin reverts to the age of elder beings with her wounds healing up too. Tiamat transforms completely into a dragon, and Roman tells them that it's all over if a wave of chaos tide lands. He asks Ereshkigal if she can contain it, and she tells him that she'll try. Seeing that she's at her weakest in the underworld, they try their possible best to stop her, and as soon as the chaos tide arrives, it starts to detoxify, and Lamu's emittance turns to zero. Merlin jumps in and says that operation, if the mud births life, all you have to do is change that life into something harmless, is a great success. This time around, it's the real Merlin from Avalon. Tiamat deploys her horned wings, refusing to give up for the umpteenth time. She prepares for her flight, and Roman warns her that the defensive mechanism of the underworld will be nullified if Tiamat returns to Uruk. At this point, everyone has tried everything under the sun to get to where they are now against Tiamat. At this point, Tiamat is probably strong enough to challenge the writer himself, seeing that she has no fear and no natural enemy. Merlin tells Fujimaru that it wasn't Gilgamesh nor the Mage King's Holy Grail who called her forth, but it was him, Fujimaru. He tells him that the enemy is the evil of humanity, a beast, and the conditions were right for him to appear in the land as the weapons that stand against the beasts of the counterforce is a grand class servant. He tells Tiamat to look up to the sky and know death. An old man appears saying, all that begins must end, all that lives, dies, and in dying, value finds. He refers to the beast of disaster as an evil born of mankind's folly. He goes on to say that he came from the mountain abyss, and he came only with death, introducing himself as the old man of the mountain, the first Hassan-I Sabbath. Hassan-I Sabbath goes in to attack Tiamat, and with the opening, Roman tells Fujimaru to act immediately, as it's a good chance for him to destroy the beast. Fujimaru suggests they all press on together to attack Tiamat. With everyone landing their hits, Tiamat still tries to crawl her way to the top. She begins to spawn Lahmus, who attacks at extremely high speed. Ishtar tells Ereshkigal and Fujimaru to prevent the beats from climbing to the surface while the others handle the Llamas. The Llamas prove to be faster and more persistent than before as they go toe-to-toe with them. Merlin notices their strength and finds out that they're divine spirit class, so he asks Fujimaru to leave it to him. Not like Fujimaru is going to do anything anyway. Now that push has come to shove, Merlin utilizes his expertise and he draws out his sword to fight against the Llamas, blowing down one of them with his staff. Ishtar gets herself swung around by two Llamas, and Hassan-I Sabbath comes in to save her as he slices the Llamas into two. He tells them that if the Llamas are true offsprings of Tiamat, then each of them is equivalent to the heads of demon elder beings. The Llamas try to jump him, but he strikes them all out. Tiamat is almost getting to the surface, and Ereshkigal decides to hold it back with her noble phantasm. Before she does that, one of the Llamas grabs Mash's shield and uses it to swing her around before smashing her into the wall. As Fujimaru goes to get her, the Llamas goes after him, but Ereshkigal restrains it, but it frees itself. Seeing as all of them copped multiple L's over and over again, the Llamas started to laugh. Suddenly, it starts raining knives in the underworld, and Gilgamesh happens to be the reason for it. He uses this rain to send back the crawling Tiamat to the ground. Gilgamesh's appearance this time is as a servant, and as Tiamat blasts a beam towards him, he deflects it easily while sustaining little cuts. Merlin goes to Fujimaru and tells him not to drop his guard. Something strange starts to happen as Tiamat activates Negagenesis, the creation of the world. As it starts to spread out, Ereshkigal holds it down using Kurki Gul Irkala before sealing it away. This skill only buys them a little time, as the area of space will try to corrupt everything yet again. Fujimaru asks Merlin what Negagenesis means, and Merlin tells him that Tiamat is trying to overwrite the underworld in itself. He tells them that it's over for anyone who gets caught in the expanding field of space centered around the beast. Gilgamesh tells Mash that they'll need her powers to counter Tiamat's cursed bounded field. He tells her that the materialization of the castle of chalk that a certain king sent her heart out for should be able to rival the space of death that the beast put out. This means they'll have to slam Mash's Lord Camelot against it, and they'll need to deliver the killing blow to the beast while Mash is holding her ground. Merlin tells them that Negagenesis denies established forms of life and tries to create new life within its space, allowing only the living room to exist. This makes Fujimaru to be the only one who can land the final blow. Gilgamesh hands him a knife and tells him to aim for the head. Ereshkigal reminds them that her privileges wouldn't be effective inside the space. Merlin tells her that he'll use his noble phantasm at the same time as Mash to pave a path for him. Ereshkigal's bounded field and ceiling begin to break, and immediately, Mash and Merlin use their noble phantasm at the same time, paving a path for Fujimaru to head towards Tiamat. Immediately, Ereshkigal's bounded field breaks. She collapses on the ground as she not only broke a taboo of the underworld and helped the living, but she also used large amounts of authority, and there was no way she was going to come out of it unscathed. Shortly after all these, Ereshkigal fades away. Fujimaru makes his way towards Tiamat, while Gilgamesh watches the back of Mash and Merlin, preventing any llamas from attacking them. Tiamat spawns llamas to go against Fujimaru, and seeing this, Hassani Sabbath walks in saying that if it's a horde of the dead, then it's only natural that death plays against it. His appearance alone scares the llamas, and he tells Fujimaru to continue moving as one of the living. He continues making his way upwards towards the head of Tiamat, and at a point, the rocks start tilting backwards, but Fu picks him up and drops him directly on Tiamat's head. Landing on Tiamat's head, Fujimaru stabs her head. As Fujimaru is dropping down, he screams Gilgamesh's name out for him to land his attack. Gilgamesh prepares the next attack, called the Ritual of Separation, and fires it towards Tiamat. Fujimaru meets with Tiamat, and she tells him that she has nurtured many a life, and many a life has loved her, but her children have used her as a ladder to head to places so far away. She tells Fujimaru that she wants to love them and be by their side forever. She asks if her love is mistaken, and Fujimaru tells her that it isn't. He tells her that all of her children love her, so she needs to get going. He thanks her and wishes her goodbye, and soon, the cloudy skies become clear again. Mash and Fujimaru wake up somewhere around Babylon. Jaguarman and Quetzalcoatl meet with them, and Mash asks if they were responsible for saving them. Quetzalcoatl tells them that she didn't make it back in time to resume the match after her ass was knocked out of the ring. Fujimaru tells her that it was a magnificent KO victory after the loser had them violated multiple times. On their way back, Roman tells them that he's relieved to be able to confirm that the both of them are safe. He tells them that there's still time before the ray shift preparations are complete, so he asks that they stay there and wait for a while until they're contacted. Mash asks him about what happened to the others, and Roman tells her that the weaklings couldn't make it. Quetzalcoatl suggests they search more for the rest of them, as she still has a beef to settle with Merlin from the time she threw the axe toward the fraud. They head to Uruk with the hope of recovering with everyone there, but Quetzalcoatl refuses to go with them. She tells them that she's gone as far as she can, as it seems her duties as a foreign elder being has come to an end. Fujimaru tells her that he's glad they're able to give her a proper farewell. Quetzalcoatl begins to fade away, and before she fades away, she hugs Fujimaru, and he thanks her for everything. Mash and Fujimaru head to Uruk, where they meet with Ishtar and Merlin. The brat named Ishtar tells them that she is already getting tired of waiting for them. Merlin welcomed them back, and later at night, he prepared tea for them. Fujimaru tells them that they met Jaguarman and Quetzalcoatl on their way, but they faded away before they could get to Uruk. Merlin becomes relieved immediately after hearing this, and he tells them that he wanted to give Quetzalcoatl a handshake to show his gratitude one last time. He would have probably gotten his hands roasted off instead. Fujimaru asks them for the details about what happened to the underworld after the fight. While sipping tea, Ishtar tells them that the majority of the underworld has collapsed due to the beast's critical collapse and the explosion thereof. She tells them that it'll take around half a century for it to fully look like it used to. The evil of humanity, Beast 2. One they never figured out the nature of. Merlin asks Fujimaru if he got a different aspect of her since he touched her spirit, and Fujimaru tells him that he did. Merlin tells him that he's sure it was because of that part about him that got Hassani Sabbath to come out there. Fujimaru asks about Ereshkigal, and Ishtar tells him that she's resting in the underworld. She tells him that Ereshkigal was happy that flowers bloomed in the underworld, and she delivers Ereshkigal's final thanks to them. Mash asks Ishtar what she plans on doing. Ishtar replies, saying she's going to stay in that age, as the Holy Grail didn't call her forth, so she'll stay until the first Uruk dynasty ends. She asks Merlin what he's going to do, and he tells her that he'll head back to his tower in Avalon to watch over Fujimaru and his company fight. Fujimaru asks Merlin why he decided to help them this time around. Merlin tells him it's because he's a big fan of his. He tells them he's a man who can only watch, and he may not like individual humans much, but he loves the stories they weave. Although he gets excited by the stories he reads, he isn't interested in the humans who wrote them, but he believes Fujimaru is different. The entirety of Chaldea expresses their gratitude to Merlin, and before he leaves, he hands Fujimaru a flower and tells him to do whatever he wishes with it, as it's a small sentiment from him and her. As he heads back to Avalon, he tells Fujimaru to have a good journey till the end. Enkidu meets with Gilgamesh and asks why he decided to defeat the divine beast. Gilgamesh tells him that it was truly to save Uruk because his people will starve to death if he doesn't defeat the evil residing on Earth. Enkidu asks why it has to be him, reminding him that his tyranny has caused so much suffering to his people. Gilgamesh tells him that protecting them is not the only way to guide them, as something like the northern wind is needed at times, and the king must establish the future of the planet. Gilgamesh wakes up to reality when Fujimaru, Mash, and Ishtar walk in to say their farewell to him. Mash asks him about the future of Uruk, and he informs her that it will not be destroyed. He goes on to say that those who are to follow them are sure to make Sumer prosper. Fujimaru places the flower that Merlin handed to him on the ground, showing his feelings for those who passed away. Gilgamesh tells Fujimaru about the man who feared death and tried to overcome it. The man searched for the mystic herb of immortality all the way to the underworld, and after a long journey greater than his lifespan, he finally obtained the mystic herb. In his sense of fulfillment and accomplishments, one can say he fully learned the meaning of life, but on the final day of his journey to return home with the mystic herb, he bathed in an attempt to show off before returning to his country. While he let his guard down, an ordinary snake took off with the mystic herb. The fulfillment of life and joy of living left the man that instant, and the next thing to come out of his mouth was not a voice of anger, but that of laughter, and right on the brink of death, he finally understood the world of man. Gilgamesh says to them that humans can infinitely flourish, but it doesn't change 1 second before the duration of their life is over. Until the end, the state of one's heart is cumulative, and human history is something similar. He tells Fujimaru to lift his head, and even if he regrets his powerlessness in that era, he'll acknowledge him as he's the one they needed. Fujimaru stands with his head held high, and he tells Gilgamesh that he'll do his best. Shortly after, they return to Chaldea, but before they leave, he hands them the Holy Grail as a souvenir. Hope you enjoyed this recap. Be sure to check out our page for more recaps like this, and don't forget to let us know the name of any anime you want to be recapped next. Also, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We'll see you in our next video.